All right, guys, so we are going to be taking Duke, the lab, and Maverick, who you see right here, out to the field to collect some data with the Arduino GPS dog vest that I made. So we're gonna put the Arduino GPS tracker inside of a clear storage box and attach that Arduino inside the storage box with some Velcro straps. And then we're going to put the storage box inside of the dog vest, and we're gonna let the dogs run around for about 10-15 minutes just to collect some data. So I will be right back with the assembly. So the assembly is pretty straightforward. You have 5 basic pieces that make up the GPS tracker. You have 2 pieces that make up the GPS receiver transmitter, which is the actual chipboard and the GPS antenna. You have the SD card module, which is used to read the data that comes from the Arduino Mega. You have the Arduino Mega itself, and you have a rechargeable battery pack. I didn't have to use a power converter like prescribed in the example I used because my output from the battery pack was 5 volts, and the Arduino was able to utilize the 5 volts and down convert from within to 3.3 volts. The last item that you'll need is a formatted SD card to MS-DOS FAT. That format is what is recommended for the SD card usage in Arduino. I have a Mac, so I'm going to visually show you on there, but for Windows, you're going to right-click on your cards directory and choose Format from the drop-down. Make sure you choose the FAT as the file system. For the OS X, you're going to open Disk Utility, and it's located in the Applications Utilities. Choose the card, click on the Erase tab, select MS-DOS FAT as the format, and click Erase. All right, so let's build the GPS tracker. So I'm using the Arduino Mega 2560. I have my SD card module, and the wires are exactly that they're set up exactly the same way as in the schematic that I showed you. And then I have my GPS tracker and antenna. Again, the wires are the same colors as the schematic. All right, so we're gonna start with the SD card module. So we're going to take this black wire and we are going to plug that into the ground. So it's going to go right here. And then we have our red wire, and it is going to go to the 5 volts right here. Okay. And then we have our yellow wire. It's going to go to pin 50. Okay. And then we have the next black wire is going to go to pin 51. Okay. And the brown wire is going to go to pin 52. And last is the green wire, and it is going to go to pin 53. And this would obviously be different if you're using the Uno, but I'm using the Mega, obviously. So, all right, so let's do the GPS tracker with the antenna. All right, so we're going to start with this yellow wire. This yellow wire is going to go to pin 10. And our green wire is going to go to pin 11. The black wire is going to come around, and it is going to go in the ground pin over here. Okay. And last is the red wire, and it is going to come around and go into the 3.3 volts pin. All right, so that is the general setup for your GPS tracker. So now I'm going to take my battery pack. I already have it plugged in over here, and we are going to plug it into the Arduino. We have action, so you can see we are working. We're gonna put it in a storage box, and then we're gonna go collect some data. As far as the code is concerned, I use the Arduino GPS Tracker guide created by Joshua Hrisco. His code was written September 4th, 2019, and it is still usable with the parts list that I put into my handout. My project was based on his, but I needed to modify my encode to support the Arduino Mega 2560, the GPS module, and the ping time that I decided to use. The code that he used was designed for the Arduino Uno, and if you're utilizing an Uno, you'll be able to follow the directions and use the code with little to no adjustments. But the key difference that you'll have to take into consideration is the pin wiring diagram used for the SD card module. The pins that you will use to connect the SD card module will depend on the type of Arduino that you have, and I'll show you the pin wiring diagram in a second. But the library to add to your IDE will be Tiny GPS, and this library can be added by simply going to Sketch, Include Library, Manage Library, and searching for Tiny GPS and install it. If you look at the pin wiring diagram for the SD card module, it will show you exactly what pins to connect what output from the SD card module to your Mega or your Uno. But the biggest difference is the CS, or the chip select pin, which will be 53 on the Mega or 4 on the Uno. When you modify this code, it is important to have the chip select integer to a 4 for the Uno or a 53 for the Mega in the code. Then, if you have all of the other pins connecting from the SD card module to your Arduino from the pin wiring diagram, then everything should work fine. For the GPS module, you can use any of the digital serial peripheral interface pins, but I chose to use 10 and 11 for my receive and transmit inputs and outputs from the GPS module. Whatever pins that you use, it's important to translate that to the code by changing your software serial variables. The only change that I made to the code was the smart delay located at the bottom of the void loop function. What this does is that it delays the loop from reoccurring every second, but if you wanted to increase the time, you could just change the 1,000 milliseconds for 1 second to 10,000 milliseconds, for example, for 10 seconds. All in all, the code's basically done for you in the beginning. The only changes that you have to potentially make is changing the serial pins and the variables to what you used for the GPS, the chip select variable for the type of board that you have, and if you want to delay the code in seconds depending on how fast you wanted the GPS to ping. Now that you've finished your code, you can now verify the code to ensure that everything is working properly in the Arduino IDE. Then you can upload your code to the Arduino Mega or Uno, whichever one you have. Once the code is uploaded to the Arduino, the code will run once you plug it into the power source. The code will first look for an SD card to initialize, and then it will begin recording the data once the first satellite is acquired. All right, so this is going to be the complete setup. So we're going to use a small storage box, and we attach this battery pack to the bottom with some double-sided Velcro tape. That way, when the dogs are running, it won't move around. And we also have a micro SD card that will initialize the code. You can use any micro SD card, but we're using the 128 gigabytes that we use around the house for the GoPros. So we're going to plug that in. It won't initialize without the SD card, so make sure you have that. And we also have the antenna taped up so it can get a good reading. So we're going to set that inside. And then we take the plug and we're going to plug it in over here. All right, so we're on. I'm just gonna put all this in, and it has a little latch on the side that you can use. And that's it, we're good to go.
Sunrise sitting back in a 40 on the muddy riverside, getting baptized in holy water and shine with the dogs running. Saved by the sound of a to be from God's country. I saw the light in a sunrise sitting back in the 40 on the...
Okay, so let's take a look at my data in Google Earth Pro. To get the data, the first thing that you have to do is ingest the CSV files that the program writes to the SD card. I did 2 tests, so I got 2 separate CSV files that I named after my dogs, Duke and Maverick. To get the 2 files, you can unplug and then replug the power source to the device. This will automatically save the first file and start a new one. You can then drag and drop the files into Google Earth and click Finish. The program that I use creates a CSV that ingests perfectly into Google Earth. I changed the colors so you can see the data easier. So what you are seeing is the geospatial data that was collected from the GPS for both my dogs. In red, you see dots that are depicted by Duke's movements, and then the blue dots are Maverick's GPS pings or movements. And as you can see, Duke stuck to the outside perimeter of the field, which is indicative by his habits as a Labrador Retriever. And further, you can look at the blue dots that are provided for Maverick's GPS pings, and you can see that Maverick did not stick to the outside of the field. He flushed through the field and ran around as if he were flushing or pushing birds. The purpose of this video in Google Earth is to visually see the data on a geospatial plane versus seeing stats or charts or graphs in Excel. Using geospatial visual data allows you to better understand movements as it relates to Earth's surface and allows you to get a very good bird's eye view of exactly what your dogs are doing. All right, so let's take a look at Excel. So this is the raw data from Maverick's test on the left and Duke's test on the right. And as you can see, this is the data that was collected from the GPS. The GPS collected the date, the latitude, the longitude, the altitude, and the heading, which is the direction that they're facing in relation to Earth's surface, and the speed. The test was done the same way for both dogs. Each dog was given 10 minutes to do their trial in the field, and each dog had the same path or options of paths to take. So same field and same time. All right, so moving to the graphs themselves, on the top you can see Maverick, which is a German short-haired pointer, versus Duke, who's a Labrador Retriever, in the speed category. So let's look at Maverick. So Maverick is in blue, and you can see his points are very sporadic, which is indicative of his breed as a dog, and how they are very energetic and more sporadic than, say, a Labrador. Most notably, however, is the amount of speed that Maverick reached. He reached speeds in, excess of 17 miles an hour, versus Duke, who reached his high speed of 11 miles an hour. So Maverick's speed was on average higher than Duke's speed because he flushes birds and runs more sporadically throughout the field versus Duke, the Lab, who stayed at an average of around 6 miles an hour as he waited for something to be retrieved or waited for something to happen. All right, so let's look at altitude. So looking at the altitude graph, we have Maverick and Duke, and we're comparing both dogs, and we can see that they typically stayed at the same altitude, but Duke tended to stay at a higher altitude towards the middle or the end of the trail, more than likely due to the way that the wind was blowing against the terrain. But Duke favored this higher altitude more than likely due to the scent. Maybe he picked up something in his ability to stay in those areas to figure out where prey was, versus Maverick, who kept his head down and he ran against the ground to scare the prey. All right, so finally with the heading graph. So remember, heading is the direction that the dogs were facing in relation to Earth's surface. So if you're looking at a compass, that's what you would be looking at. And you can see that Maverick is way more spontaneous with regard to the degree of heading that he was at each point in the graph. He flushes in fields, therefore his heading's not very constant and it's always changing. But Duke, on the other hand, you can see his straight lines in the graph, which indicates the more squared path, I guess you could say, that Duke took. So Duke took this path because it's hereditary in the way that he's trained to hunt. He's waiting for something to happen, and he's more of a reactive capacity than Maverick is, who's going for it all the time. All right, so what can I do with this data? Okay, so I can take this data and I can say, okay, so what does this data mean, like for training or field work or hunting in general? Well, Maverick pushes, and he's like an energy machine. He flushes, he makes things happen. But Duke is more patient and he waits. I guess you could say he's more reactive. So I guess it would depend on what you're hunting, what your options are for paths that you might take, where you're hunting as far as like location is concerned. But it's going to help me better identify when and where to take my dogs hunting, and just to like visualize what type of hunters and what type of dogs they actually are.